Thank you for coming, and sorry that I am a little bit behind. If I am not late, did I really show up? My husband's probably wondering the answer to that question because I make him late to everything. Um, Thank you guys for coming. Today we are on a mission. That's why I have my very serious travel hat on. Because we are on an adventure today through the life of Lance Twigs. We're going to be talking about who is Lance Twigs, what type of life has he had growing up, and it's going to be the intro to a series about some things that lead to connections I feel like other people have not discussed that I think are very important with the things that took place in Utah in September of 2025. And we're just going to get into it because I have a lot to talk about today. So, the first thing, I'm going to share my screen because I found some things under my keyboard today about Lance Twigs. So, oh no. So, we're going to lift up the keyboard and find all of the things about Lance Twigs that I think we should talk about. And I have a collage here that are a bunch of photos we will go over today. And we're just going to get into it. So we're going to talk about Sir Lancelot and all of the things that people have already spoken about for this first slide. So as you can see, these are a lot of photos that have been popular with the Daily Mail photographs of Lance allegedly in Texas that we're going to go over in a second. And then the other photos I have on here are the photos that people kept posting over and over. A lot of them, the same ones, are from TikTok and things like that, that most of you have seen. So yeah, and you can see here, some of these are recent, some of them are a little bit older. This one's actually in Hawaii, which is interesting until you know that his family has a condo there. So not as interesting then. All right. So hey, thank you guys for coming too as well. I see Adfleet in the chat and I feel famous that you're here. Thank you. And thank you, Tim and Ryan, for being here. I hope I have some good stuff for you, Ryan. I tried my best. The next two are probably a lot crazier, but I had to have this intro for it to make sense. And Tim, I wouldn't know that you're 50 at all. Okay. So this first, I'm gonna go like this. I think you guys should still be able to hear me. But this this first, actually, my face is all messed up when I have it like this. So these first photos I have of Lance are in 2021, and I'm showing these in comparison to the photos that were just posted of him in Texas to prove that I think why those photos are Lance and why. So I'm going to pull these up bigger. As you can see here, there's a photo of Lance's parents. This is Amy Twiggs, and this is Tyler Twiggs. Most people call him Tyler Twiggs. This is actually Jerry Tyler Twiggs Jr. There is no Tyler Twiggs. He goes by his middle name because his father has the same name as him. I just wanted to point out here, the reason why I blurted out is because I do not support stalking, attacking people, anything of that nature. This is purely for informational purposes. I feel like a lot of things were not properly spoken about Lance. So I just wanted to make sure that it is all out there of the things that people have questioned. So you can see here that the Latter-day Saints are mentioned here, which is what most people call the Mormon Church today, because that is what they prefer to be called after the church had some changes. And this is a photo from 2021 where his older brother JT is being sent off, and he is Jerry Tyler Twiggs III. So I can't say it. Jerry Tyler Twiggs II and Jerry Tyler Twiggs III are in this photo here. I also blurred out anyone who I thought was someone that was not super relevant at this time or that was a child. especially because I don't think it's appropriate to show pictures of other people's children on the internet. Okay, so moving on to compare this here. These are multiple photos of Lance in these Rutgers sweats we have going on here. So I'm going to zoom in. Here's Lance at the pump. Nice hairdo going on there. Here's a picture of Lance with his siblings blurred out, and there you can see his father. And you can see the Rutgers sweats again there. And I'll zoom back out. Here's the article showing it with the same Rutgers sweats down there at the bottom. And then going back over here. So little bit of a theme going on here with Rutgers. I don't think people have really shown these other photos, and I do plan on posting all of these on Twitter as well. The reason I haven't is because I've been working on preparing some of these things, and I've been a little bit behind wanting to make sure that they're perfect. So had a game plan to have teasers all day and post them, but they'll be on my X account in the next 24 hours, and I'll try to schedule them so you can see these and share them if you would like. But I'll post all of these in the same username, iDontGiveADom on X, and you can see them on there as well. So I have a few different versions of this just so you can see it a little bit more in depth. And again, I circled everything that had Rutgers on here. But I did want to point out one more thing on this slide here. So there is a website where you can go and see possible owned properties by people. Obviously, I blurred it out. But I did want to mention Amy Twiggs has been known to have a residence in Texas that is now related to someone else in their family, but she is still listed on known as property. And it does also line up with the news article and things that have came out recently. So I feel like for me, that further, confirms that that was Lance Twigs in those photographs with the longer hair that kind of tie into those 911 calls that Baron Coleman spoke about. But I just wanted to be very clear that I was posting this just to show, because a lot of people had questioned that before. And the other thing I'm going to go into here before I go into a chronological order of Lance Twigs with some things that I have is the CIA recruits from US colleges all the time. One of the colleges that they recruit from a lot is actually Rutgers University. So I'm going to talk about that for a second from a CIA document. And I'm just going to go over it a little bit with you guys. This is how I do my research. And Marsh is probably rolling his eyes in the chat because I am sending him stuff all day long, especially when I cannot sleep. And sometimes he wakes up with hundreds of messages because I get a little bit lazy about wanting to put it in the right place. And I get on an ADHD research tangent and I'll want to make sure that it's perfect. So I do that. And you can all pray for him because he needs it, having to deal with me all the time. Again, thank you for coming if you're here and being patient. I had to take a little bit of time away. I had some family things going on, and then some personal things I had to take care of. And I actually had an allergic reaction to something I bought so that I could podcast more. And it was counterproductive. So I bought these cough drop types things. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what they are. And I was allergic to them, but I thought I was just allergic to the first flavor I bought, and I bought 3 flavors of them. I ended up getting horrible, disgusting reaction to it where I didn't want to show my face, and my voice was even more messed up, and I bought them to help with my voice. I ended up being allergic to the cough drop things themselves, not just the first flavor. And then after I figured it out and got it all under control and everything, a third one came in the mail, and it's sitting on my counter to remind myself to not be an idiot. So there is that. And I'm sorry that I'm drinking, but I have not been using my voice as much because of all of that, which again, I'm sure Marsh is grateful for that. And my husband as well, because I'm not yapping all the time. But I just have to drink more than I usually do. So I'm going to share this document here. Bear with me. Okay. So this document is literally from the CIA.gov website. And it is all about Rutgers and the CIA, which is really interesting when you start looking into the Twiggs family in general, in my opinion, allegedly. All right, so I'm just going to get into it. So on here, this is from a release in 2011, and it's actually from the 1980s. This says 1985 here on this first page. And it's saying that I thought you might be interested in the report on Rutgers demonstration mentioned at last week's staff meeting. I'm pleased to note that most of the recruiters are getting jaded about these demonstrations. Note, Jim mentions it in paragraph 4 after making his main point. Example, it was a successful day. And that is from Robert Maggie. All right, and then moving on. Bob Mackey is his name, and this is again 1985, December 11th, 1985. Subject, Rutgers University, and it's in New Jersey. Do you guys know anyone else who relates to some of this story from New Jersey or that worked in intelligence in New Jersey or was kind of known in the Jersey area? Jeffrey frequented Jersey, and there is a few prime ministers that also spent a lot of time on that East Coast and these universities as well. America is not the only place that probably recruits from these universities. So, going into further, I have so many things open, so I'm sorry if I'm not seeing your comments as they're coming in. I will look at them at some point or I will get distracted and not finish. So I'm sorry. I'm doing this for all of us. Okay, so I thought you should be aware of an unusual recruiting day spent at Rutgers University. It was unusual because 6 different offices and 8 different agency officers contributed to the success of the day. Example, the DA and OIT. And then, there's some redactions. There were 100 students with varying degrees and interests who signed up for our presentation and interviews. Every office representative was impressed with the caliber of applicants, and many PHS forms and PATB tickets were distributed. We started the day with the showing of our recruiting VCR tape, after which I talked for 15 minutes about the agency and about the procedures of the day. Everyone then proceeded to take over the Douglas College Career Center, each to his own interview room. Representatives talked to those applicants who expressed interest in their respective offices. Electrical engineers, this is important, signed up with OSO, accountants with OF, etc. This is interesting to me that this is. Oh, wait. This is interesting to me that just the entire thing of this. So I'm sorry that I just went backwards. I need to get back where I was. Okay. So while we were busy with our trade, a demonstration was taking place outside the student center, attended by 30 people protesting our presence on campus. The campus police and Rutgers Career Planning Office personnel did such an excellent job of controlling the situation that I never even saw one demonstrator, although we heard them once. That is a lot better than a security company we know about in 2025 and 2026 that was paid millions of dollars. At the end of the day, everyone went their own separate ways. I feel confident that some of the EODs will result from this busy and productive experience. I have arranged these combination presentation and interview days at other colleges with 1 or 2 agency offices represented. But they have not been on such a large scale. Sorry. Apparently I can't read. Newspaper reporters representing the New York Star Ledger, New Brunswick Home News, and Rutgers University Daily's Targum were also in attendance. Enclosed are copies of articles from Home News and the Daily Targum. So it shows in here. And as you can see specifically, this is talking about students protesting CIA recruitment. This is not talking about general recruitment. They did say a few offices. but anti-CIA literature and chanting is what they had on there. So again, student arrested at CIA recruitment protest. So it's really interesting that they're talking about this. And then two, CIA activities in Nicaragua. He was removed by the area by police. That is super interesting in this time period because if you know about the Iran-Contra scandal, Nicaragua and Central America played a really big part in that. And that was a big part of what we know about the first things of how Jeffrey got involved with the web of people in Ohio, which people in this story seem to all stem from. So that's really interesting when you think about Leslie Wexner, when you think about Erica Kirk, then France Bay, her parents. When you think about Peter Thiel, he also lived in Ohio after moving here. James Donald Hamill, aka JD Vance, is from Ohio. All of these people very intertwined in this story. The CIA is recruiting from the place where Lance Twigs is wearing sweats to. Pretty much the only sweats I ever see him in are Rutgers, which is really bizarre. And his mom went to Stanford, another university where all of this would happen all the time. That's literally in Silicon Valley. So connected even more. And I'm just going to scroll through these other ones. I will post the link for this on the X post I do about this as well. So just wanted to share that with you because I find it really interesting when we're talking about intelligence, how intelligent allegedly that Lance Twigs is that we're told, and all of that as well. So I'm going to share my other thing. I've never felt so old until I try to share my screen. I'm not old, but I feel old. All right. Going back. Okay. So again, here's the picture of these Rutgers sweats. Really weird. And Texas again. So now we're going to move on to who the freaking heck is Lance Twigs. We've all heard a lot about Lance Twigs. We've heard what other people think about him. Actually, I'm going to be really honest. I don't think I have heard enough about Lance Twigs for someone that allegedly was living with the person that we are told committed the act that has become infamous in September, and ultimately led to the demise of CharlieKirk. I think it's very bizarre that all we really know were some things that were reported by news agencies that seem to be kind of weirdly ahead of the game. Thank you, Ryan. I needed to hear that. I see Marsh in there saying agree. He heard me overthinking before I hit go live. And then I realized each time I hit go live, I did not hit the second button you have to hit. So I was sitting there for like 4 minutes hitting it. Like, why is this not going? Why is this not going? After I had to talk myself up to getting on here because it'd been a few weeks. So I felt a little bit rusty. So Lance was born in approximately, I've seen reporting on both. So before I go into episode 2 on this, I'm going to say between the year of 2002 and 2003. That makes me feel old because he's now around the age of 22 years old. We are told that he is from a conservative Mormon or Latter-day Saint household in the St. George or Washington County, Utah area. His parents are identified in some reports as Amy and Tyler Twiggs. However, again, his father's name is Jerry Tyler Twiggs Jr. The family has been described as the Latter-day Saints and strict Latter-day Saints across the board through reporting. And we have been told that Lance is allegedly academically gifted and a straight A student. And that he attended a Utah Success Academy, an accelerated program for gifted students pursuing college level coursework while he was in school, and a concert level pianist. And that a lot of that is from family sources. However, with some of the things that have came out later, I will say it's a little bit weird to think about the fact that oh, I cannot remember his name. He interviewed a family member of Lance Twigs in the dark, and he has gray hair, and he is always at the crime scene of things. Anyways, Brandy and Billy um, have spoken to people. He said that the reporting was not accurate about Lance Twigs cooperating, from my brain remembering it. Yes, Brian Enton, not Eaton. Brian Enton allegedly interviewed Lance Twiggs's family member, talking about him and saying he was cooperating and all of this stuff. We're going to show some things that make me kind of question if he's a gifted pianist. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that as I know nothing about piano, but I'm not really sure um, how how that works otherwise. And I want to say as well, Brian did a first interview, and I cannot find it to save my life. So I think it's deleted. And I have spoken about it multiple times to some people, asking if they remembered it too. Originally, there was a video of him interviewing who he said was Lance's mother, Amy, on a phone call, and it was on speakerphone. And I'm going to be really honest with you, I listened to that twice. I have found video of Amy Twiggs speaking, and I've watched multiple of them, and I've listened to multiple podcasts of hers, where she's a guest on someone else's podcast. I do not believe, and maybe the reason that first one was taken down, that that was Amy Twiggs at all. So the voice is totally different, and it's just really bizarre. As well. So, all right. And then some of the other things we know about Lance Twigs. We were told that he was removed from his parents' home before turning 18. Some reporting said around his junior year. And this is where it gets a little bit gray, because when people say a relative, I'm like, okay, was it the same relative? Because if someone's saying that he was allegedly using drugs and alcohol and addicted to gaming and things like that, I don't know how true and how much I can believe that when I'm looking at other things that that person said that I don't think are true or that were not correct before. I also think, Ryan, that that is a possibility that some people could be working with or for the federal government who have put out certain narratives about this story. I think that that's a very common thing to do, and it used to happen all the time with the news, and things have pivoted away from that. I think that's why our FBI has also been ran by podcasters and people that build brands, because they know how to speak to the public and how to identify with the public well. So they'll try to spin these narratives and ultimately have someone for every possibility and every type of, or every group of people out there, to try to control the narrative with the people that are usually part of the opposition or not, and all of those different things. And that is something that I have been diving into a little bit with this, that ties into where we meet Arizona and the Farnsworth family as well. So, some other things that we've been told about Lance is that someone he lived with, Jackie, and Nathan Nielsen's family, when he was kicked out, that she had multiple children, some adopted children, and that he was a phenomenal role model for her children despite his struggles. She defended Lance Twigs and said, Lance, that I know of, has never done drugs. He just wasn't a big partier. And then she's also saying that there were some religious zealots in the family, and that spiteful gossip is where the drug statements came from. And I think that that's totally possible when we go into a history that is posted online as well. And there's a lot of stuff about gaming we're going to go into in the next episode, because I think that there's a lot of symbolism there with bios that are out there for himself, and then symbolism in general with the story. So I'm going to go into this start to finish, and then I'll go into a little bit more of the gender transition and all of that stuff. A lot of that stuff, again, is allegedly, because we have not heard that directly from Lance or Tyler Robinson himself. So if Lance is kicked out of his parents' house and he's not really speaking with his parents all the time, and there's a lot of tension, how can you trust a narrative that a family friend that is far removed from Lance is telling you is true? I don't trust that. And that's not, I just don't believe something because someone says it sometime. I have to have evidence of why I believe something in a lot of ways, or I have to come to a conclusion through a lot of thinking and my own discernment on that. Okay, so moving on. I'm like losing my voice already. It's kind of embarrassing. We are going to start back in 2015. So we're going to go through some interesting videos of our talented pianist here. I have to hit play. I have like multiple screens open and I feel all right.
Okay, tell me what the name is. Okay. Good job.
Okay. There are a few videos I'm going to play here at the beginning that just show Lance talking and kind of his interactions from a young age. And thank you for coming in if you just got here. So moving on to the next one. Okay, I will say I think that that's pretty good for the age that he is in this period. I mean, if he's born in 2002, we have a 10-year-old playing like that. So or a 9-year-old if he's born in 2003, depending on his date of birth and all of that. Also, I did not realize I could click on the comments and pull them up one by one. So I'm sorry that I did that in the middle of the video. I was reading through them as that was happening. So I'm going to keep going because I do have a lot here. I'm going to try to not have a super long live tonight because the next few shows are going to be a little bit crazy and probably at least 2 hours long with the research that we've done. Because we have Lance connecting to some other important people that I've done some research on. And then I believe it ties directly into Lori Frantzvey and her family. So I'm going to keep going, but you need to know more about who Lance is and get a feel for it so that you can have your own discernment about this story, because I feel like the narrative that we are being told is not correct. All right, we're going to go to another one.
My name is Lance Twigs. I am playing country concerto for young pianists, and I like piano because it gives me something other than playing video games to do with my fingers.
Okay, something I do want to talk about right here, and I'm going to have to probably rewind it for just a second, but it is something that I'm going to review with the photo that was released to us by the FBI, because I do think it is relevant to the long sleeve t-shirts we saw in September of 2025 at UVU. In the oh wait, hold on. Okay.
My name is Lance Twigs. I am playing.
Oh no. 1 second. How do I pause it?
My name is Lance Twigs. I am
Okay.
playing country concerto for young pianists.
I don't know how to pause this video.
And I like piano because it gives me something other than playing video games to do with
No,
my
I
fingers.
can't. Okay. So
My name is Lance Twigs. I
can't pause
playing
it
country concerto for young pianists.
unless Marsh can pause
And
it. I literally
piano because it
cannot.
gives me something
But I
other than
want you to
playing
pay
video games to do with my
attention
fingers.
to the birthmark on his elbow here. That is either a birthmark or it is a scab. Okay. So I will say I am actually, I'm going to go here so that it stops playing for a second. I will say I am actually pretty fascinated by the fact that from 2012, we have this. And then in 3 years later, we do have what seems to be a piano protege at that age. I mean, you're talking about someone that's 13 years old playing the piano like that. Does that mean that he continued that after that? I'm not sure. I would assume that part of what happened at that time was he got a little bit more involved with video games as well. Um, I know I didn't even think about that, Marsh. I was like, Marsh, help me pause this. And I'm realizing that I'm sharing my screen through Canva. And he's saying he's not presenting my Canva. That is true. That is true. So I actually realized I have to do it through the other screen I have up. I'll note that for next time. Bear with me. Bear with me. Or don't. It's okay. I know I'm not for everyone. So if you don't like me, sometimes I don't like me. And that's okay. However, I would like to dive more into the birthmark, and we will do that in the next episode when we look at the FBI pictures and his gaming profiles a little bit more. Here's Lance in 2015 as well. Okay, so moving on, then we go into Lance, same year. This is a little bit more interesting.
In an old book, it says that this used to have the record for longest duration or longest time, like not dropping. And it's a glider, so it's just, you're supposed to throw it soft and it's supposed to just stay in the air.
That worked. It just stayed in the air. It just stayed in the air. We have a few of these. We're going to keep going.
I'm putting the flaps as straight as I can get them this time, which should make it glide, but its flight might differ.
I also love this because I was that kid when my parents got a home video camera that I thought that I was presenting the news, and I feel like we see Lance doing normal kid things here in 2015.
Okay, so this again is called the tube. Once you make, you might want to reinforce this area with tape just to hold it, to make sure it stays together. So unlike other airplanes or paper airplanes, it has no wings. So this flies by. You throw it like a football. So you're gonna go like this, and it spins, and it gets its lift from the wind while it's spinning. So the air keeps it up, and its flight pattern is random. So here we go.
Okay, something I want to note here, and that I'm going to zoom into here on the last one where I know how to now mute the volume because it's short as well. I want you to pay attention to a skin complexion that you would also want to wear a long sleeve shirt with if you had the same thing.
Okay, so this is what the dart should look like once you're finished. It's supposed to fly far and fast, so let's see how it works. Or like this. Give it a really hard throw.
Try one more.
And let's be really glad that he did not become a pilot. I do think that's probably a little bit important here. I'm going to mute the screen audio because I'm going to go back. I think you guys can still hear me when I do this. So if not, just let me know. But I am going to zoom in because you can see here we have freckles. I zoomed way in. Whoopsie. But you can see the freckles there. You can see the freckles all over his face. Okay, so there's a few things that I will compare as well to his colic behind his ear in the photos that were released to us by the feds. Here's his tube plane again. Let's be glad that he is also not working for Boeing. That would be a freaking mess. Okay, so moving on. I have a lot on Lance. And thank you for coming. Thank you for staying if you're still here. I have been MIA a little bit. I had some family things going on, and I explained a little bit earlier for those of you who just joined. I had a bit of an allergic reaction, trying to be productive, to losing my voice from talking too much. And it made my voice worse, and it was just a lot. So that's where I was. And then my sister is getting married this year. I plan events, and I'm planning her wedding. And the Hawaii floods have taken up a lot of mental bandwidth, and I wanted to be able to show up for you guys as much as I can show up for my sister during this special time. So a lot of things. And then we had a family emergency before that. So that's why I've been gone. It's been about 3 weeks. So I feel special that 22 of you are still giving me the chance right now, even though I've been gone. So, thank you. And thank you for coming, Love and Compassion and the Heart Gardener, and Crystal. I appreciate you guys for coming, and Ashley as well. It's great to see you all here. So we're going to go through, this is in chronological order still. So this is Lance in 2016. And here we have him in St. George, Utah. I've actually been to this exact place as well. So I have a friend who lives in St. George. This is a very common place to go. And I've actually been to quite a few of these places that he is in. And you can see here, this is Lance. I have a zoomed in photo so you can see his facial expressions as well. And I'm just going to keep going. So this one, Marsh was laughing at the t-shirt because he said he would never wear that. But we have Lance here in 2015 saying that he is stashing through the snow. If you have ever been to St. George, Utah, that's a funny thing because it doesn't really snow there. St. George, Utah is the desert. Okay. So it's kind of funny. I do know that they've been to like Jackson Hole, Wyoming and stuff, and they have a cabin up in northern area. So it makes sense. Obviously, he's into snowboarding by photos we've seen. But I just thought it was funny. So we're going to keep going here. And this is his mom posting it. This is him with his siblings. Here Lance is again, and you can tell that he's probably an introvert when he likes to regroup and refresh himself by this photo. That is my opinion. I circled the two people that I know are his siblings in this photo. His little sister, I could not pinpoint because of the year this is. I know what she looks like now. I couldn't pinpoint which one she is, and I didn't feel like it was super relevant. His older siblings, that was pretty easy for me to be able to pinpoint who they were because of the age period here. This again is Red Rock, and it's around the Dixie area in St. George, Utah and everything. You can see the town of St. George out here in the distance. It's a very cool place to go. And there are people here all the time. I think he looks a little bit sad. Probably he's had a little bit too much of being around people. And I think that we've all been there. There are times when I need to do that as well. I like to sit and regroup on my own and be with my thoughts. I really love being around people when it's that time, but I have to really emotionally prepare for that. So I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting from him in this. And then this photo that I'm going to go over next is probably the one that makes me think this even more. Here we have Lance with his family in 2017. And his username is right here. Okay. Here's his mom. And here he is again. Here's his face. I love his face in this one. He's just like, I'm making a sandwich. Why are we taking a picture? I'm making a sandwich. As Candace would say, make him a sandwich. And Lance was doing it. Does that mean, is Lance Twigs, guys, was he a Candace Owens fan in 2017? Was he a Candace Owens fan when she was working with CharlieKirk? Probably by this photo. That's all I can say. I also am going to point this out right here as well. And it's something that Marsh brought up with the username. I've looked into all of his usernames a few times here, but I did want to say we have this it's like an axolotl face that he's using in his username here with this make him a sandwich photo. He's making himself a sandwich. And at this point, he's identifying as a man for all we know. So male. So we have the axolotl, and then I wanted to point out what is on the rifle cartridges that said reportedly these things. I've not seen them. I haven't seen evidence that they said this other than what was reported on the legal documents, no photos or anything like that. So I have not seen them with my own eyes, but I'm putting this here because I have more of a comparison. I went too fast. Okay, so I have the two right here, and right here we have what is on the cartridge, and right here is what we have on Lance's profile. It's a little bit interesting when you think of how humans are creatures of habit, and I think that there's a lot of that in here. I do think if Lance is involved in anything, and I am not alleging that he is, that there seems to be a lot of symbolism of someone who thinks that they are a genius, that other people will not see some of the symbolism throughout. And one of these things, I felt like I sounded crazy until I went through and showed one of my friends everything piece by piece. about some gaming profiles. So here is the meme that this is from. And this original meme is making fun of the furry community and the fact that it's mostly male. So you never know who's flirting with you on the other side of your screen. And that's probably due to people identifying as their gender of choice or transitioning and all of those things. So I am just saying that based on what this meme is about. I'm not saying that that's how I interpret this meme. I honestly, if you didn't tell me that's what this meme meant, it would take me a second to figure it out. Okay. Because I would be more confused about like, well, why does one person have like a dog paw and then another person have cat ears? And that's first thing that hits me. I don't know. So, and then also, yeah, that's just, I feel like we're in like 6th grade talking on AIM Instant Messenger with how this is typed in here. So it's a little bit weird. Okay, so, ooh, all right. Going back in order here. We have Lance Twigs with his family in June of 2017, and I have quite a few, so I'm just going to keep going. And I zoomed in on these so that we can see Lance more in depth, showing you the evidence of this being an actual post, not something that's photoshopped or anything like that. And then also zooming in because I feel like that's important. Here we have Lance, and it's the same family trip. I zoomed in on each of these photos and then tried to, for what I could, do my best. I tried to also make him super big and not blurry from making the image larger. I also find it really interesting, and this will come back later, and you can see it better in this picture. We have someone who seems to really like cats. Okay? That's all I'm going to say right now. But he seems to really like cats. So, all right. And this is the same photo, same photo. This is the same trip. This is the dudes. This is Lance's father next to him. And then next to Lance's father, so the second to the left, we have his grandfather. So that is Jerry Tyler Twiggs. He is a pediatrician in the St. George area. And he actually, so I don't even know how I did that, but my mouse went to my iPad. That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay. I was trying to get it to move to show you. Anyways, so here we have Jerry Tyler Twiggs, the pediatrician, and this is Jerry Tyler Twiggs the third, Jerry Tyler Twiggs the second, Lance's father. Here we have Lance Twigs. And here's Lance again. He's got braces. You can see that complexion right there going on. As a freckled strawberry patch myself, I know why someone would wear long sleeves if you were trying to be sneaky. And again, we have a cat pictured in the photo because it's at the same place. I believe this is the same trip. Here we have them in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is a really big place out there. And they are whitewater rafting. So we have it on here, and I did a little bit of a compilation of Lance and his family, and my mouse just did that again. It's the craziest thing. I have my iPad open. Okay, there we go. And it like made it a whole nother screen. Okay. I feel like I should close my iPad. That's nice that it does that. I guess I wouldn't need all these other screens that I have going on here. Would have made my life easier. And I'm going to go through these in order. So then on this second one, I have Lance blown up as well. Here he is again. And this is my favorite out of the 4. So the compilation of him is, he looks like he's liking it. And I also had Canva try to clean up the pixels a little bit. So this one looks a little bit weird. But when we're zoomed in here, I will zoom into the main photo. Here we have Lance at the first with his family. Then we have it moving on to the, to the second here. There he is again. So it's just really funny to see that last one. I don't know why. I've literally never been whitewater rafting, so the dude has more balls than me, obviously, but just thought it was funny and I thought it needed to be included. So that is from that's June 2017. Moving on to the fall of 2017, here in October. They're up at Bryan Head, Utah. It's a cabin. And I have the same thing going on here. So I'm going to zoom in and we have Lance here in the maroon. You can see him right here. I have him made bigger in all of these as well so that you can easily see that. Sorry, I'm going to move this for a second. And then he is pictured in this sweater on a few photos from this post, obviously, so I'm just blowing them all up. Here he is again. And then moving on. So in 2018, there's a little bit of a gap of what I thought was relevant to just show a difference and kind of changes throughout time. So this is in December of 2018. And we have the Latter-day Saints here again mentioned. So it obviously is a big part of their life. And this is a family photo. I have Amy Twiggs not blurred on the left, Lance Twigs here in the middle, and Tyler Jerry Twiggs over here on the right. Here he is again, still freckled as ever. However, if you do notice, somebody doesn't have braces anymore. So he does have straight teeth and those are cleaned up. Now we have a family Christmas on the same post, so we will dive into all of these people a little bit more that are relevant, but these are his maternal grandparents. These maternal grandparents are actually from Arizona. If you were not aware, Amy Twiggs is from Arizona, specifically the Mesa area, which is not too far from Turning Point, USA. And then this is a big family Christmas. I have a few more photos here. We have Lance in a cool looking hat and his father right here. Zoomed in on the hat, we have Lance again with the fancy hat. I'm also wearing a fancy hat in my friend's honor because I was looking for my binoculars and put on this hat to try to find my binoculars a few weeks ago. Still have not found my binoculars, so I cannot do proper bird watching. I'm pretty sure they're in my suitcase somewhere, but I don't know where that suitcase specifically is. And I need to remind my husband and ask, where did you put that suitcase? Because I'm just a girl. I just fill the suitcase. I don't get the suitcase. Here is Lance with his father sitting here, the rest of his family. I mean, this is a big family Christmas gathering. I'm from a bigger family, so I totally get this. We actually usually rent a space for Christmas for the same reasons, because it's just better for everyone involved. We all end up enjoying it a lot more. And we have Lance sitting here. He looks like he's eating. Obviously can't confirm that as well. And then moving on. So spring of 2019, we have the Twiggs family in Arizona. So they're back in Arizona. And she is, I gotta close this iPad because it's doing it again. So give me one second. It just put my mouse back on the computer. That's the crazy. I mean, it's cool, but it's like the worst timing that could happen when I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So here we have Lance and his family in Arizona in 2019. And she's saying, afraid of heights? Yes. Will that stop me? No. And she's talking about enjoying a weekend in Arizona with her mom and dad for a general conference. We will talk about the businesses of this family in the next episode because it's a lot. It almost felt like Lori Frantzway a little bit, to be honest with you. And moving on, same month, we're in Arizona, but then she says stopped by Arizona for a weekend with the family. It's always good for It's always an adventure when Ellen is in town. Watched a quick practice game at Chicago Cubs training center. And then she talks about players. So I guess I actually have this mislabeled. This is not Lance Twigs in Chicago. This is Lance Twigs with the Chicago baseball team. I just don't know a lot about sports. So I forgot that the trading center was not in Chicago. It makes sense because in the Midwest, we obviously have winter. Arizona is not the same with that. So again, we have the family here, and then you can see Lance here. Freckled arms on our boy Lance Twigs. And his family, these are his maternal grandparents again. And then this is probably something that I feel like enough people have not spoken about. This is Lance Twigs in September of 2019, and I'm going to read the post and go over this in depth because I feel like it's super relevant to a lot of the next steps in this. So they are at a hospital over on the East Coast in New York, and they went, or in Jersey, I guess. And they're going to New York when she's posting this on the train and everything. She's talking about the 9/11 memorial, yellow roses, and all of these people showing support. And I'm just going to read her post here instead of woman-splaining it to you. So, all of my sweet family and friends, thanks for the very thoughtful birthday wishes on 9/11. So we have a 9/11 birthday as well. It was a very memorable one. We decided to try the train and subway system from Jersey to New York to visit the 9/11 memorial yesterday. The memorial was closed, but the peaceful feeling near the reflection pool was worth the adventure. Yellow roses on each name, so many people. It was a beautiful scene of American support. Planned a zip back to Jersey Shore for a sunset and dinner. There's no zipping when you've never taken subways and trains. We spent the rest of the day walking and getting lost in New York, but did see some cool things in between. If you look confused enough, someone comes up and asks if you are lost, then offer help. We ended up at so many wrong spots from lots of well-intended helpful New Yorkers. Finally found a train back to New Jersey, was able to see a Jersey sunset after all, just from a train instead of a beach. My son had surgery today in Jersey. He has experienced miracle after miracle, leading him to today's surgery for scoliosis. We are so grateful to Dr. Betts, Anacotti, if I'm not saying that right, oops, and Cuddy for their gifts of healing. And so many wonderful New Jersey people constantly offering help and support. I cannot say enough good of everyone at St. Peter's University Hospital and the Ronald McDonald House. I feel humbled by the love God offers me every day. Love you all, and thank you again for yesterday's shower of birthday wishes. Hope you all see the hand of God and feel his love in your life every day. All right. So, this is Lance Twigs in 2019 having surgery for scoliosis on his back. All right. Back surgery is a very serious thing that would probably lead to pain medication, and that ties into this a little bit as well, I believe. So we're going to keep going through these photos. Here's the same post. She's just showing all of these. So here he is. They're on a train. Also, he's a Vans guy. Maybe he's a Barron fan too. Okay. Maybe a Barron fan. Lance Twigs is probably wearing those gum-colored Vans every day. He probably has church Vans that he wore. Okay. So he probably only wears Converse shoes when he's up to no good, is all I'm going to say. Yeah, I thought it was really weird too. So this post is on September 13th of 2019. So it's a little bit confusing because she's saying thank you for the birth wishes on 9/11. So that's when her birthday is. And then my son had back surgery today in Jersey. So on 9/13/2019, Lance Twigs is having back surgery. So I feel like that was the easy way to pinpoint this down on the timeline. Here we are again. back surgery is a very serious thing. So I do see someone asking. I will say too, the Ronald McDonald House. I'm not sure how it is on the East Coast, but the Ronald McDonald House at Riley Children's Hospital, at another hospital I'm aware of, actually was a very great thing that people would travel all throughout the country to see specialists in that area. They would take care of the families while they're there. And some hospitals have special programs where you can see a specialist, or they refer you to someone that specializes in um, all of your needs. And sometimes the surgery does not cost things. Yeah. So actually, Ashley, I see what you're saying. I don't think so. So this post is on February. This post is on September 13th, 2019. And she's saying, I'm going to zoom back in. Sorry. So she's saying, thanks for the thoughtful birthday wishes on 9/11. So I take that as Amy Twiggs has a birthday on September 11th. So what happened to CharlieKirk was on September 10th. Amy Twiggs' birthday is then next on September 11th. And then it looks like September 12th, they were walking around Jersey and New York and doing the train thing. And then September 13th of 2019 was when Lance had his surgery. So I did kind of say that a little bit messed up. So I do apologize about that. But I will put that in a post too. If you guys would like to see that broken down on X, I can do that today before I hit my bed pillow. So, um, someone heard that Lance Twigs' favorite treat is the McFlurry. Well, that's probably why we have a picture of him with Ronald McDonald here hanging out. So, I see him eating some Doritos right here. So I do think that's interesting. I also think this is a cool photo. No, it's totally fine. Actually, I did kind of get confused at first too, because the post is saying September 13th, and then the way she words some of that is like really bizarre. It looks like me sending a voice memo or something, because it's like there's a random period here and there and all of that stuff. And I learned my grammar in the middle of cornfields. So I would expect someone getting educated. Marsh is saying educated in a cornfield. I would think someone going to Stanford would not be putting random periods everywhere. So the other person that I think is really relevant to the same type of back surgery is Luigi Mangione. And I'm probably not even saying that last name right. But I do want to mention there are posts that were spoken about. I have a screenshot of a live news on CNN about this and his post about back surgery. This is one of his x-rays. And this was a post on his Twitter, these two photos, before his Twitter account was taken down. And it's now X, but I call it Twitter because I'm just that old. So I do agree. I don't know the difference on how serious scoliosis surgery is versus what Luigi Mangione went through. I can't even pronounce what he had, but his spinal condition is spondylolisthesis. So whatever that is, but it's basically he had to get a spinal fusion surgery. And there are a lot of theories suggesting, and I have it on my notes here, that it was unsuccessful or botched. And that's also coming from some of the people that are surgeons reviewing the x-rays as well. And what I was reading about this is that he actually had an accident. And I did not see this firsthand. So I did not see his actual social media profile saying this, but that he had a surfing accident when he was in Hawaii, which is probably why he posted this picture in Hawaii around the surgery. And he is talking about all of that there. And then that led to that injury, I think. I think he may have already had some back issues and back pain, but that made it predominantly worse and kind of, unfeasible to live life in a normal way. There were also people suggesting that this surgery led to mental distress, which allegedly, according to what they call his manifesto, fueled a vendetta against the health insurance industry. So, however, what I will say is when you have surgery like this, you go, you're asleep. You don't know who's operating on you when you're asleep. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on in the room. We all know about some projects with the CIA of experiments and things. And the current climate we are in politically is interesting. If you needed people to do your business and send some messages. So, I will say there seems to be a big difference in these people before and after surgery. I'm not saying that that is because anything that anyone did to them specifically, but I even think pain medication and things like that can be detrimental to certain people and health in general. So moving on here, this is the Twiggs family in 2019. Here they are in Las Vegas at a temple, and they are getting ready to ring in the new year. Here we have Lance with the longer hair going on, fancy tie, fancy jacket with his parents here. And then here we have January 2020, the year that was infamous and will live in history. We have Amy confirming here that she's a Stanford grad and she has a friend visiting her here and they are on a hike. She's talking about him visiting and all of that fun stuff here. Lance is sitting here and he's repping those Rutgers sweats again. So I also do want to say, I see a comment here and I was saying this to Marsh the other day. I don't want to say the word on my live stream, but I did have the same thought undebunked. Lance has the last name Twiggs. And a lot of this from the start, when we hear Spencer Cox say the press conference and everything, is that he almost immediately says it was politically motivated out of nowhere. And Twiggs is what the F word is for a gay person, or what that slur is, a bundle of sticks. So I'm not going to say that on my live, but I do think that it's really interesting when we think of that name. It's like, are they really even the Twiggs family when you look at her parents and everything else and his parents? I'm like, who knows? Twiggs also became a name that we'll go into later. It was Twig originally, and then they added the S on there. So, they were just one stick, then they became a bundle of sticks. That's all I'm saying by the name, the S. I don't make the rules. I'm just saying you made it plural. Probably because they went out to Utah. First, actually, the Twiggs family was in Idaho. We'll talk about that in the next episode. But, they went on that journey out west with the LDS church when it broke off. It was actually the Mormon church at that time, but they went out west. So we have Lance Twigs with his family in January of 2020. That's embarrassing. I don't think I spelled January correct here. Also learned spelling in the middle of cornfields. So here's Lance. I see the educated cornfield. I can't believe you didn't tell me I did that, Marsh. So here we go. He's given my spelling a thumbs up here. That's what I believe. He knew in 2020, I need to give Dom a thumbs up. So in 2026, when this woman is sleuthing my photos on the internet, she knows because she was in the cornfields learning how to spell. I'm going to wear a yellow Vans shirt and give her a thumbs up. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. Hey, Allie. Hey, Adfleet. Hey, sometimes I wet my plants. That is a hilarious name. I also thought that was weird about Rutgers in New Jersey. So that's a good point. I wet my plants. I'm going to pull it up here. But the surgery was in New Jersey. Rutgers is in New Jersey as well. It's really interesting when you think about the timing on this. Thank you, Allie. Thank you. Okay, so then All right, so still going in chronological order, we don't have that horrible spelling on January anymore because we're in March. This is the worst month of my life. Okay, I remember this month. Okay, that was an exaggeration, I guess. It was the month that was filled with so much uncertainty because I remember March 2020 as the month of lockdowns for the virus, and it was horrible. I also agree this tie is really long here, Adfleet. This is a very long tie. So it's like, is the tie long? Is this his father's tie? Is this his, JT's tie right here, Jerry Tyler Twiggs the third? Or is he just short? Because I'm looking at all of the measurements I have here and the inseam and everything, and he looks like he has very long legs and a very short torso. So this is around the time, that you see him start having a lot of changes. I think that that's also relevant to the gait and some of the gait photos and videos that'll be used in the court. And I also think it's relevant to the photos that we see and all of those other things on what's going on and what we're told is what's going on as well. The tie is so long that it's literally to the side of him in this photo. So, I thought the same thing. And it's a little bit weird because you see bags under his eyes here too. I mean, you kind of see the bags here in January, however you're going to say it. You see the bags here. I don't really see the bags under his eyes until after this surgery. I mean, look here. You kind of see them, but like when you're traveling, you're going to be getting less sleep. Usually, you're not in your house. I mean, you might like pass out, but you're walking around. You read that post, they're walking around everywhere. And then you go a little bit forward after surgery. Boom. And then it's like, what are the eyes under, or the bags under his eyes are just a little bit crazy to me here. So he does look a little bit younger until these. I think he starts to look a little bit older again. So also a little bit bizarre to me. I'm not a doctor, obviously. You would not want me to be your doctor. But I see him on a wakeboard here, and I have no idea how that's a thing this close after surgery. Maybe I'm just a hypochondriac. Maybe I would just be a helicopter parent, but I would be really scared of my kid having back surgery like that, depending on what happened, and then hitting water on impact and all of the things that could go wrong, especially when you're reading about Luigi. So it's just a little bit interesting. Ashley, that's a good point. You can thin out and stuff with puberty as well. I think that does happen a little bit. And then it also looks like he has been maybe indoor playing more video games around this time, which would make sense having surgery. And maybe that's why he didn't stick with piano as much as well. You can't be my doctor unless you've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, but you should not let me be qualified for being your doctor because I've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. I live in the middle of nowhere, around a lot of middle of nowheres, and I grew up competing in dance, so I've stayed in a lot of hotels over the years. All right, and then we have this photo, and he does thin out a little bit more here. In 2021, this is with his maternal grandparents. Not sure where this is. This is not his maternal grandparents' house in Arizona that I know is the residence they live at, but maybe this is the one before then. I don't know off the top of my head without looking at the deeds when they moved, but I do know what their house looks like now. Here we have the photo again, showing the post that it's from, just showing that June of 2021. And it's this photo that I'm showing is right here. We'll go more into his maternal grandparents in the next episode. And the Texas house we will go into. I do think it is relevant. I showed a picture of that address showing with the Rutgers at the beginning of the live. I blurred out the address. Obviously, I'm not going to dox someone. I know that people are a little bit unhinged nowadays, and I don't want to ever put someone's address on the internet, even though you could probably find it. It's really weird because there seems to be almost like a house and a condo situation going on in Texas where they had a home there for a while. So, here we have this in order of chronological. We have Lance again in those Rutgers sweats right here. And this is sending Elder Twiggs away on his Latter-day Saint mission. Here is Jerry and Amy. He's wearing that LDS name tag going off to that mission. You can also see Lance here in his Hawaii hat. His family has a condo in Maui. I sort of judged them a little bit for that, because I've been to Hawaii. It's like one of my favorite places. Maui's my least favorite island, and I don't say that to be disrespectful, but I just can imagine wanting your condo there, I guess. Kauai is where it's at for me. I even like Oahu better than Maui, because I feel like the road to Hana is fun. The road to Hana is not something I would want to I would maybe live out in that area actually because I like to be, more in the rural area. But it'd be so hard to get back to civilization because it's like a one-lane road, unless you go the back way. And then if it's storming and all of that, it's just kind of complicated. I did want to mention, so from the spring of 2021 to the end of 2021, we see a little bit of a difference here. And it could just be the angle. It could just be maybe he's playing more video games here out when he's biking. But I did want to say, he seems to have more predominantly a Adam's apple in this photo. He has more color, and it's also December. So he has more color in December, still freckles. He's got the longer hair going on here in the Rutgers sweat. And then here, this is like, early spring. He's here. He looks a little bit pale. Could just be the time of day, I guess. It could be the time of day. Who knows? But those are the main differences I see in Lance in 2021. And I think that it's really relevant coming into what we generally know about Lance Twigs. I'm going to go to the first couple photos I have of him that are like the recent ones everyone's talking about, just to kind of show a comparison of what we went through to where we are now. I really need to update my mouse because I'm messing myself up. So these are a bunch of photos of the recent and more well-known photos of Lance Twigs. So some of these are specifically from TikTok and things like that. There are a few things that will come up in the next episode. We're going to be diving into Amy and Tyler Twiggs, where they come from, businesses and family businesses they own. I think that the grandparents are very relevant, especially in Utah, because there seems to be some France-based similarities in some industries as well across the board. I'm talking real estate. I'm talking tactical store. I'm talking insurance. Lots of things. Real estate in general with like different aspects as well. And then just who they're doing business with and how the LLCs work. So these are the photos of Lance Twigs a lot of people know about. I'm going to zoom in here on some of them just to talk about them for a second. Here's a Daily Mail photo. I think this is very interesting because this photo was not one that people kept sharing. But when you look at a gait pattern, it is like a fingerprint. And that's how you walk. A physical therapist, and I've worked with physical therapists before, they can tell your gait without seeing the upper half of your body. So I had a boss once that told me to stop dragging my foot. I didn't even know I was dragging my foot, but I did have an injury, and I kept wearing out one side of my shoe more, and I didn't realize it in my Birkenstocks, and I literally fell and busted my butt one time because of it, because it was raining, and I hate buying shoes as an adult. I don't know if there are any other adults out there that hate buying shoes. But I'm going to say this. Buying shoes is the biggest scam in the world, up there with health insurance. But I busted my bottom, and I did not know that I was dragging my foot like that after my injury, until my boss said that. And then I looked at the bottom of my shoe, and it was so much more worn. And then I ended up learning a lot more about gait. But I think it's really interesting with the court filings, seeing the gait pattern, seeing how the arms are kind of like robotic down there, seeing the posture, seeing the hair here with the long hair and the 911 calls that Baron Coleman has went over as well. I think that that's really interesting looking at this photo, especially more from the side. I think that the nose is really interesting, the Adam's apple in the other photos, the way that he's picking up his feet, the shape right here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Also, I feel like Lance is in hats a lot. This person seems to be in hats across the board. Feel like as a guy or someone that identifies as a woman or, male or female, if you wear a hat, you're wearing a hat all the time. I wear a hat when I mean business. I wear a hat on vacation. I want to be on a permanent vacation where I just get to yap to a microphone from a nice warm area that's not the Midwest. And I wear a hat on vacation all the time, and I prefer to wear this type of hat. And I feel like everybody has their hat type. But I prefer to wear this type because I like to go to tropical areas and I like to be on boats. And your hat just flies right off. So I have a hat type. It looks like Lance has a hat type. What's the hat type you know from the photos that were released to us by the federal government? Seems to be the same hat type. I mean, so much of a hat type that this guy is wearing a matching sweater in a matching hat. Like same shade. Okay? Same shade. Wearing a hat while having gaming headphones on this one. Like hat under the headphones. That's how serious of a hat guy we have here. So it's just a little bit weird. I don't know like why I never had thought about that. I mean, even right here, hat, hat. And then in this one, which we'll talk about when we look at the FBI photos, do you guys see these shoes right here? There's another photo of him in a hat at an airport. It's a black hat, but we see these Converse shoes right here. The same Converse shoes that we see in photographs released to us by the feds. So it's just really interesting. Seems to be a hat guy, even a hat up here, even though I think it's from the same type of TikTok. It may be something that's like a safety thing, I don't know. I think that guys just generally, when you wear hats, you're going to wear them all the time. So I think that's just how it is. I mean, wearing a hat in December, a ball cap. It's not like that ball cap is keeping your head warm. It's not like it's going to be super sunny when you're in a parking garage, which looks like it's at an airport. Maybe he's wearing a hat because he needed to wash his hair and he didn't, as they're sending off someone to the LDS mission in 2021. But I'm just saying, he's wearing a hat again. So we got a guy in a hat and we got a guy that's not wearing a hat in 2017 making a sandwich, being a Candace fan. And I just think that the hats we see are really interesting. And we'll talk about the family dynamics of Lance Twigs on the next episode. I hope to be able to do it tomorrow. May not be able to be tomorrow. It may be Wednesday night. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming. I appreciate all of you for being here. I also agree with you, Hart Gardner, that the gait pattern is very relative to January 6th. I do agree with you on that. I think gait patterns, you guys can watch the documentary on Osama bin Laden, but gait pattern is actually something that they talk about in that Netflix special. And I found it very interesting. I worked with a bunch of physical therapists at the time when I watched that. And I was like texting them when I was watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, I know so much about gait patterns because you guys, and did you know that they identified Osama bin Laden by his gait pattern by a satellite in the sky because they could not get a photo of him face to like full visual unless it was from a satellite because of the way that the compound was built with the walls and everything. So that's super interesting when you think about that. They had a mail courier that actually was what led them to knowing where he allegedly was. I don't know how much I believe that story after seeing people travel in the area that he allegedly lived. I actually think he may have passed away before then. I think that it was around when we needed elections to go a certain way. When I say we, I don't mean we. I think when certain people needed elections to go a certain way, which I think is very relative to this story that'll tie in. But I think that happened after 2016. I don't think the shadow state or shadow government, deep state, thought that Donald Trump would win the 2016 election. And you see a rebrand and the name JD Vance coming out. You see Hillbilly Elegy coming out. You see CharlieKirk get introduced to his wife. All of these people are from Ohio. Peter Thiel is the biggest backer of JD Vance at that time. And I think that it was very clear when Miriam Adelson was saying that we could have a third term. And I think that it was a promise and a threat to the other person standing in that room. And I don't think that third term meant with Donald Trump. And I think that you can also see that very clearly with the people that seem to be involved with this story having similar patterns with LLC, going to certain schools like Liberty University, Stanford, having a lot to do over at Rutgers, and seeing how it all intertwines. I don't think it's a normal thing for the vice president of the country to come and meet you to fly your spouse back to your home state when you fly private all the time. I think that it's a very noble thing to do, but also with the timing and events of when it happened, I don't necessarily think that that would have been what I would want, even if I was in that position. And I'm not in that position and I've never had to be. So, everybody does different things. But I can tell you, I've been around a tragic incident and no one in my family wanted to be around the general public in front of cameras or would have wanted to be around a politician in that mourning period. So, I think that all of these people seem to have one world, deep state ties to people that want a totalitarian, total control, deep state vibe of the world. They want you driving a Tesla. All goes back to the PayPal bros. They want to be able to listen to you all the time. They want you to have no privacy. Because most people act on fear. And when you act on fear, you will do things to hide what Kristi Noem's husband got exposed of. Is that something that's super embarrassing? I mean, I guess, yeah. But I am probably embarrassing too. Would I want someone showing a picture of me watching videos on my phone, sitting on the toilet or something? No. Am I sure the government could probably do that? Maybe. I don't know. Would I make different decisions if the government wanted to expose me for that? No. So I don't know. Wait, Charlie's saying, or Charlie Goes Max, my friend Marsh, that's his username, is saying that he wants you guys to wait to see what he leaks about me one day. I will wait to see it. I don't think that I really have a price or can be bought. And I think that's why I identify with people like that. You can't take money with you. It's a tool, but I don't think that money should run your life the way that a lot of people think it should. It's a made up object. It's not real. Jeffrey even spoke about it in his very long interview that's released in the DOJ files, and you can see it on Jmail, or you can see the full length one. It's really easy to search if you search interview, and I think it's at Zorro Ranch, about how our banking system and banking industry works and how it shouldn't work. And I'm not sure he even understands how it works. I also agree with you, for crying out loud, 778. Why would Mikey call JD right after Charlie was shot? Also, do we know that he even called him or did he FaceTime him? Because that's a question I have. That is a question I have. Did you FaceTime JD Vance? Because if you FaceTimed the vice president, I got questions for you, Mikey. Like, I got a lot of questions for you that you somehow grew balls and FaceTimed the vice president of our country. Or did you FaceTime James Donald Hamill because you knew that FaceTime was different than a normal phone record? Those are questions I have. So, I see some more comments. Yeah, Ryan, I think that you have a lot of good points here. You could buy Vance with a pack of unopened cigarettes. If he smells like unopened cigarettes, I can only imagine what that part of the White House smells like, to be honest with you. I still have like some of this rash on my face and the acne, so that's kind of embarrassing. My lights, like, I decided to wear my hat for my friends and so that you couldn't see it as bad. And because we went on an adventure, obviously I needed my adventure hat. But I think that you can see a lot about his family history. That's really interesting. His mom's been married 5 times. I mean, I don't know. He seems to totally rebrand himself over and over like a few people in this story, which I find is very interesting. And then Vance and Musk planned with Kirk. I don't agree with that personally, Ryan. I think that for blackmail, maybe. I think I have a little bit of a different theory, and I will tie it into the last part of this series that I've been working on. It was something that I actually started working on before I started diving deep into Charlie. And I think that it's actually relevant to this because Charlie knew so much about the state of Israel. And I think that he knew a lot about the Netanyahu family, and he'd been there a few times. And Charlie was really great at pattern recognition. There are a few weird things. If you also cared about Jeffrey Epstein, that I think are very, very relevant to the story that someone would want to cover up. And a good reason why someone would be able to basically blackmail themselves and run intelligence here in the States and over in the Middle East through a family member that may have just gotten a new identity. And I think Charlie found that out. And you could call it a conspiracy all you want. I think that the timeline is a little bit too weird with how it all works out. But it's an event that happened in September in Africa that's very relevant that we'll get to in the 1900s. And it's actually the Black September response to a plane hijacking. And then you see a lot of things happen. The guy that signed the Oslo Accords was assassinated by someone in his own country. He was called a terrorist, actually, by Benjamin Netanyahu. And Benjamin Netanyahu was in the streets protesting with people against the Oslo Accords, calling him a traitor for signing the Oslo Accords. There was a coffin behind him as he marched, and he did not discourage people from protesting, even though it was getting a little bit violent. So it's a little bit weird that he has such a big problem with people protesting for himself, I guess. It's like you got to practice what you preach. And if you were involved in protests, you have to be okay with people protesting you. So I don't know. It's a little bit hypocritical. I did say the word. I actually Scruffmeister, not Scruffin, sorry. Learned how to read in the corn. I put an E-N on there. I actually used to do that. So Charlie Goes Max is asking about toothpaste on your face because Scruffin is saying, or Scruffmeister 44 is saying toothpaste dries that up overnight. I want to say yes, and I have done that before for acne. I had a little bit of a allergic reaction though, So some of it is not really acne. It was like an acne like rash that was very disgusting. Let me tell you, I felt so gross. I did not want to be seen. And my sister actually went wedding dress shopping that weekend after it happened, and my face still looked so gross. I was so embarrassed to be at the dress shop and to take pictures because I looked so gross, and I don't wear makeup anyways. I don't have anything wrong with it. It's just not me. I think it's weird to like put something on your face like that when your face should be breathing. So I put on moisturizer and stuff, and I used to wear makeup when I was younger and when I waited tables and stuff. But it's just not me. I like to be comfy. I don't want to pay to wash something expensive off of my face. I'd rather go get more caffeine or something than put makeup on my face and, make my face look like something else. My face is just my face. Thank you, Scruffmeister. I think you're beautiful too. My sister, Love and Compassion, actually talked about that Caladrill stuff. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I think it's really interesting as well. Theo! Hi! I just talked so loud. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but hello. Theo is one of Baron's moderators. Thank you for coming, Theo. And then Adfleet was also in the chat too. So I feel famous that both of you guys were here. Adfleet makes the funny videos. And I think she is hilarious. Curious Joel, am I late? I'm finishing up. If I do that, then I'm not going to finish my research for the next show. I actually had almost 200 slides for this show, and I had to delete 70 of them for the next one because I didn't get finished with what I wanted, compiling it in the right chronological order. Kind of a perfectionist, it's a problem. And I needed to get situated, plug in my camera, put my adventure hat on for my friends that just showed up. I'm wearing it. Oh my gosh, guys, we have breaking news right now. Breaking freaking news. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm old. Joel and Whitney got engaged today, guys. Oh my gosh. Joel and Whitney got engaged today. I got goosebumps all over my body. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. Oh my goodness. I don't even know. I feel like I'm going to start crying. I'm an ugly crier. I am so happy for you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to hear about this. This is so exciting. Joel and Whitney got engaged. You guys should all go show them some love. I am just, oh my gosh. I feel like I should go over the whole thing again for you because Joel is saying I need you to cover it up again. We love your fishing hat, Dom, Whitney, and Theo and Fleet are in the chat with us right now. Oh my gosh, they're engaged, everyone. I did not find my binoculars. I know I got to go look for them. I've looked for them every day. Every day. At my in-laws today, they had 5 pairs of binoculars. And I was testing them out, looking at their trees, looking at birds. They weren't as good as my binoculars, but I am just so over the moon. I would love it if you went back and watch it. It's kind of a lot. It's a lot of pictures of Lance. I'm about to share a lot of them on X as well. I love you guys too. Congratulations. That is the best way to end a live stream ever. I mean, unless it would have been cooler if I had you on and you guys got engaged on the screen, but that would have been a little bit invasive, Sometimes that's a private thing. Sometimes. I am just so over the moon. Wow. You're getting married. I was hoping I found him too, Theo. My husband was hoping too because I haven't shut up about it. I've been looking for him. I've been looking for those things. He's like, Dominique, I have looked. I don't know how many times. Oh. I can't see that you are because I don't have my binoculars, so I can't see where you are. You're 2 states away from me. So it's like, I don't know how to see it, but thank you guys for coming. I may go live tomorrow night and maybe Wednesday. Tuesday, I know that I am not able to. I will try to plan it around because I like to watch Baron live every day. It's really one of the only ones. I try to watch Baron and Candace live every day. It's really difficult for me to make more people's lives consistently because I also work a full-time job and then I also own a business. So I'm busy all the time. This is something I'm super passionate about. So I put a lot of love into it, but I want to make sure that I'm being mindful if people want to join the live. You don't have to join the live. It'll be up on my channel and you can watch it at any time. I think that that's really nice about lives because people can interact with you if they want. I do like this type of interaction. And then it can be posted and I don't have to sit there and edit it. You would the things that Marsh could leak about me would be the first videos I recorded on my computer. Yes, that is what's coming next. So we are going to go Twig's parents, followed by Twig's grandparents, followed by the weirdest Twig in the bundle. And he is a bundle in the family because he's, very far removed. And his blog is very interesting. Thank you for liking the lamp. I bought it at Home Goods. I also always wanted one of those monkey lamps, just so you know. And I didn't like how a lot of them just have like the monkey holding the light bulb. I thought that was weird. I'm like, that kind of looks like undone. I never saw one with the thing on it, and it matches my favorite green chair. I love green, if you can't tell. I think that with people not being able to spell Dominique properly and missing the second I is why everyone thought I was a dude. Baron thought I was a dude for the longest time. I think a lot of people still might think I'm a dude, and that's okay. I don't really care. I do say dude and bro a lot, and bruh and homie and stuff. I am one of the dudes. I don't identify as a dude, but I probably seem like a dude. If that means I'm cool, I know I'm not, but I feel cool if you think I'm one of the dudes. Someone in the line at Home Goods actually thought I was buying that lamp as a prank, as a Christmas gift. I talked about it on another live, I think, but it was a really embarrassing moment for me because socially I don't always know how to interact with strangers because I just am who I am. Kind of like moss, I kind of just grow on you. I might be a little bit annoying at first, and then I become a part of your ecosystem when you spend more time with me, and then you're just like, oh, that's just dumb. And I told him that I just like weird things and I have dead butterflies on my wall because I used to collect bugs and I have a bunch of animal, not taxidermy, but I forget the real word for what the butterflies are in frames. I really like butterflies. So, moss is also annoying sometimes too. I know I'm annoying. Everyone can be annoying. Everybody's annoying at times. So, thank you, love and compassion. I don't seem like a dude, but I will say it is really hard for me to be around a group of girls that are pure girl. I don't know how to explain that, but I definitely, I don't know. I am not, I was always a tomboy. Like, I don't really I don't do my hair and makeup. The extent I do my hair is I have a Dyson Airwrap thing. I blow dry my hair after I get out of the shower, and I kind of straighten it when I blow dry it because my hair is naturally pretty curly. And if I don't do that, it will be wet forever because it's super thick. And I just don't know a lot of things to talk about with girls that only want to talk about girl things because I want to be like, so do you believe in aliens? Have you ever thought about stealing a semi full of animals that you see at the truck stop that are about to go to the slaughterhouse? There are times I see a semi of pigs and I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to go take those pigs, bring them to my not farm yet, but could be a farm. My 1 acre could be a farm with 50 pigs. That would be a mess. And I could take them all there, put them in my backyard, play with them, love them, not slaughter them. I do really like bacon, but I wouldn't eat them, and replace them with stuffed animals. You would say that to some girls and they'd be like, "Okay, What's next? I don't know. Like, I like to talk to people that like to talk about what they're thinking and people that have their own thoughts and stuff. And I feel like just in general, um, I it doesn't really matter actually if someone's a boy or a girl if they can just communicate and have their own thoughts, actually. So my best friends are girls too, actually. Other than like Marsh, and I have some guy friends that I became really good friends with through my husband, actually. I mean, we all went to school together and then I became good friends with them. Um, but if you can't have your own thoughts or opinions about something and you're just like repeating the opinions of like what's on the news or something else, and you can't come to your own conclusions and you use discernment or talk about theories and all of that stuff, I just don't have a lot to talk about with you because you can't think in absolutes of everything. And a lot of people like to do that and just kind of be distracted and not talk or think about those things. And that's okay. That just means I'm not going to have fun in that conversation. And you can like ask me questions like what I do for work and stuff, but like I sometimes don't know what I do for work. So like like I don't it's not like a fun conversation to have. Like what are you up to and small talk like that? I know I'm short, but I'm just not good at small talk. Like I never will be. I want to know like, what do you think about UFOs? What do you think about what's another good one? What do you think about the cables at the bottom of the ocean that connect to the internet? Did you guys know that's a thing? Very fascinated by that. I also am just a weirdo. I go on the internet and I read. Oh, my camera's going to start moving. I go on the internet. I need to stop my camera. Hold on. It needs to freeze. It won't freeze. Oh no. I'm not telling you guys to talk to the hand. But okay. It's frozen again. It hasn't done that this whole time. But I forgot what I was saying. ADHD, brain fart. I can be a girly girl and talk about purses. I really like a good purse. I used to want to be a purse designer when I first went to college. And I like Botox. But I like sweats. Like I don't want to dress up. I never want to dress up. I'll like maybe pay to dress up and get my hair and makeup done if it's like something special. Do I like to be uncomfortable? No. Uh, that's disgusting. I want to be comfy no matter what I'm doing. I don't know how long I'm going to be alive. You think I want to wear something uncomfortable if it's like the last outfit I wear? No, thank you. I grew up as a dancer. Some of those costumes, uncomfortable. I don't want to put myself through that. And then it's like it's just not me. It's like that's not who I am. Cables in the ocean. Yeah, that was a theory. I have a list of things that I have for topics with a thing that I want to have a segment on. I'm actually trying to get a prison toilet for the 16 of you that are here right now. An unused prison toilet, okay? Unused prison toilet. I am looking for an unused prison toilet, and I had 2 of them saved, and I think they're gone now. Also, guys, a prison toilet is like $550 freaking dollars. Okay. So ADHD, she forgets she started that topic. Yeah, because I'm not going to dive all the way into the cables of the ocean. It's on my list for this. But I want to have a segment called Talking Crap with Dom. And I sit on this silver prison toilet that's in my office here. And obviously, I'm not going to sit on it like I'm using it. I'm not going to use it. It's not going to be like plugged in, okay, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just a girl on this stuff. I don't know how that works because I don't need to know how it works, okay? If I needed to know how it worked, I would probably figure it out because it would be annoying. But would I be passionate about it? No, it's a toilet. But I think prison toilets are cool because they're shiny and silver, and I would probably never be in a prison toilet. I would probably ask Marsh how a toilet works or my husband because I've had to do that before. About certain things like when I broke the lever on it one time. I got a little bit happy flushing it, Um I think that's a really good topic, the heart gardener. I don't think I can talk about it here on YouTube. But maybe that's something I could dive into on on it when I get on a different platform eventually. But I know that YouTube is the most popular one to start out on, and I'm trying to ease my way into it so I don't get overwhelmed and not want to continue as life continues being life. Um, but my segment, I want to call it Talking Crap with Dom as I sit on my prison toilet that has a cushion over the seat. Obviously, I'm not going to be using it, like I was saying. And I talk about things like airplane etiquette. Who gets the armrests on a freaking airplane? Where do you like to sit on an airplane? Why are people standing up as soon as the plane lands? I mean, a lot of things. It's also so interesting to me on this. I said I was going to stop talking like 30 minutes ago, but it's so interesting to me that people are flying commercial and they think that they they think that they chartered a private jet. It's like we're all on this plane together. You know, somebody might have paid more, also a scam. But I'm just saying, you can't get mad at a baby crying on a plane or like other people existing on a plane. If you're on the same plane and you're flying private and like someone may find you annoying on this plane, you know? I don't know. I've seen adults be just as bad as children on planes all the time. I like to travel and it's actually really sad when you see a parent that's really struggling and really trying to be kindful, kind to everyone in their surroundings. And they're just so embarrassed for their child acting like a child. And I think that we need to be more compassionate with others. I mean, yeah, I think that sometimes there are parents that are not attending to their children and stuff and could help soothe them if their ears are popping and things like that. But I was on a flight, and it was a single I don't know if he was single, but it was a father that was flying with his toddler from Costa Rica to America, and the baby was crying, and he tried to make her stop crying so much, and I could hear him, like, putting the bla just because he thought other people were gonna be upset, and it made me so sad because, I mean, he should not be scared of his child acting like that, and it probably made it worse. He was just so embarrassed, and I think that we should just be more kind. I mean, we don't know what someone else is going through. He could have been serving in the military or something or flying home and all of these things, flying for meeting family, and he has the right to be on that plane too. I mean, I don't know. It's kinda weird. I hear adults talking about when a kid's on a plane, "Oh, great, blah, blah, blah," and I'm like, "Who put you on this plane, Erica? Are you not flying a chartered? Did you forget to book that today? You weren't already at the airport when you needed to take off?" I mean, I don't plan better. Work harder if that's what you want. I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, you got on this plane with the rest of us. So, like, you're not even in like first class. And even then, it's like, if you want to pay for your kid to be in first class, pay for your kid to be in first class. Who gives a flying flip? Who cares if you have a child on a plane? I don't know. It's just such a weird, like, you can't love children and think we need more children in the world and all of these things and then get annoyed by the existence of children. And then have a government who is not holding people accountable to protect the children. It's like I have seen so many tweets from Kashif, that's Cash's real name, about protecting the children and all of this other stuff. But you know who took seriously from the beginning the people that worked with Jeffrey? The US Virgin Islands compared to America. You can go look. I'll post it sometime this week. You can find it very easily, but the US Virgin Islands has all of this stuff on there, a lot of the financial records that we're like twiddling our thumbs about. Also, US Virgin Islands, that's a United States territory, by the way, of talking about actual transportation of these victims. internationally, not internationally, the island harboring people who worked with him specifically. It's all there in the documents. It's all there. It's notified. It's in a legally binding document. It's in the lawsuit from the U.S. Virgin Islands government to the Jeffrey estate. And we hear that there is no evidence. Where are they getting theirs from? The ranch? The files that were found in the SDNY office that Kashif and Bongine checked themselves? Were they in the Florida office where Pam Bondi, was the attorney general in Florida for a long part of it? I mean, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I feel like I could be a better person to do that investigation than what happened, because you also can't tell me that you're then not pursuing it, and that the bodies of government that should be focused on actually making medical care and insurance agencies and all of these things accountable and actually fixing the system instead of whining about it since the beginning of the system when it wasn't working. I mean, they've been talking about fixing healthcare and things since before September 11th. It's 2026, guys. Also, the world was shut down for like a whole year. What the hell were they doing then? They were getting paid. I mean, I don't get it. It's like, when are we going to actually stop complaining about the problem and start fixing the problem, or get out of politics? I mean, politics is literally just acting on the political stage. All of the people, retired actors right now that you see and you're frustrated with, for the most part. Spencer Cox, actor. Kashif Patel, I mean, he had his own brand. Dan Bongino, podcaster, also Secret Service and stuff before that. Pam Bondi, actor. Her brother's interesting. Trump, actor. Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know, maybe an actor. I mean, he's been in a lot of news interviews right after September 10th, 2025. So I'd say maybe he has some acting experience. Yeah. I mean, it's all fake and gay. It is literally all fake and gay. And it doesn't matter who you elect. It doesn't matter what midterms are coming up. That does not matter at all, because you should be for the American people, not your political party at that point. You can identify as that all you want, but it's weird to even care about that much. It's weird because the people in power, I do see that. The people in power to fix the problems aren't affected by the problems. That's why. I don't think it's really that. I think that they are really affected by those problems, because then their voters are really upset. It's kind of this weird, like, prom king, prom queen contest type thing we have going on, that we let people run our country somehow this way. Weird. But it doesn't really make sense to me, because a lot of them, when they get out of politics, yeah, they might go work with, like, companies like some of Lori's and stuff that are really weird. You know, they might go to Silicon Valley. They might work with the deep state. They might go work with the Jeffrey Network. Who knows? But a lot of those things still directly or indirectly affect them in certain ways. It affects the way that they make money. It affects the way of what they have to think. And then it affects who they have to pay the price to when they leave. So just an interesting thought that I have. I'm going to go so I can wrap up my night to get ready for my day tomorrow. Maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I will announce on X in the early evening if I'm going to go live. It'll probably be this Wednesday. I would love it if you're there. It's okay if you're not. It's also okay if you hated this. I'll probably hate this listening back to myself. When I get really serious, I also open my eyeballs super big. And sometimes I look at myself and I also have a light behind me, and I need to get a different one, I think, too. But I didn't adjust my lighting a lot this time. But man, I do this thing where I open my eyes so big, just like I used to when I would drink a Diet Coke. And I do that, and I'm looking at my screen or something, and I'm like, that is the most embarrassing Erica Kirk thing I do. I mean, my eyes just get so big. I'm sure you saw it and were like, what is wrong with her? It's just the way I am. I wish I was not that way because it is really embarrassing. And when I smile, I usually squint my eyes for photos. So it makes no sense why I do that. But thanks for coming. I'll see you guys soon. And everyone go congratulate Whitney and Joel for their engagement. They're getting freaking married, everybody. We all better get invites in the mail. Just joking. Eloping is the way to go for sure. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you guys again a lot more soon. And I'll see you guys next time.